So, Kyrgyzstan is a paradise for all kinds of activities in the mountains. You will also find something for all kinds of, for everyone, for all fitness levels. You will have very easy tracks that you can do, tracks that I did with my 70-year-old mother, but you will also find really hardcore mountaineering opportunities, from rock climbing to really backcountry skiing, tracks across glaciers, whatever you want, you will find it here. And depending on what you are going to do, you will need different equipment, and so I cannot really give you any specific recommendation on what equipment you will need, because it really depends on what you will do. So one thing that I almost always have with me are those poles. In Kyrgyzstan you usually have to go many altitude meters up and then also down, and these poles are really helpful for that, especially when you go down, and also when you have some more exposed sections, then they can help you keep your balance. Additionally, you would want to bring a system to filter water with. You will almost always find water nearby. Here you can see a lot of snow that you can melt, but here down there's also a small river, and you will also find a lot of animals like horses, cows, sheep, sometimes goats, and these animals, from these animals you will have some germs in the water, and you want to make sure that you filter this water before, or boil it before you drink it. The filter usually works with activated charcoal, and then you can drink the water. So I wanted to mention that arguably the two most famous tracks in Kyrgyzstan. The first one is the track in Ala-Archa National Park, which is only 30 kilometers south of Bishkek, and in Ala-Archa there is a mountain hut called Radzek, and Radzek is a hut at 3,300 meters, I think, and it's comparable to mountain huts in the Alps. It's currently operated by Aksai Travel, so you can get dinner there, you can get breakfast there. Radzek was built in the 1970s, and during the Soviet Union it was also one of the centers for mountaineers in the Soviet Union, and here nowadays it's certainly still the main center for mountaineering in Kyrgyzstan. The reason is that around Radzek you have many different peaks of varying difficulties. You have a glacier, you can do rock climbing, ice climbing there. It's just very, you can do many different things, and many of the trainings that I previously mentioned that are being conducted by the Kyrgyz Mountain Guide Association, they are being conducted around Radzek. So you can sleep in the dormitories. They have several ones, but you can also bring your tent and sleep in a tent. But it would be good to let them know that you are coming. It's not you don't have to, but I think it's certainly better if you let them know that someone is coming, especially if you have a bigger group. So the second trail is the one from to Alakul Lake. Alakul Köl is the Kyrgyz word for lake. This lake is near Karakol, and it's at around 3,600 meters. And I think you will never meet so many other climbers as during this hike to Alakul. So maybe some other people would argue with me if these two are the most popular, most famous ones in Kyrgyzstan, but I think they are definitely very famous tracks. So when you plan your trips on your own, you need maps. I personally, I like OpenStreetMap a lot. I contribute to OpenStreetMap myself. It's free and open data, and there are apps like Maps.me or OSMAND that use OpenStreetMap data. And on OpenStreetMap you have most of the tracks that are here somewhere in Kyrgyzstan are marked on the map, but sometimes, as you can see right here, on OpenStreetMap, here track. You would see a track, and it's certainly the correct direction to the saddle. Back there's a saddle, a mountain pass, and the direction is correct, but you cannot really see the track, just more or less guess it. But up there you can see the track. So you need sometimes be aware that the tracks are not always, the trails are not always visible, and you need to look at the map sometimes. Where do you have to go? And there is another set of maps which is very helpful, which are the Soviet military maps. I will put the information below the video. You will find the links. The Soviet military maps are helpful because they contain a lot of topographical information. So on Soviet military maps you will see, for example, if there is a scree, if there is bare rock, if there is a glacier. Okay, on the Soviet military maps they're a bit bigger. Nowadays they are much smaller. But nevertheless, this kind of information is on Soviet military maps, and not always on OpenStreetMap. And so if you use both, there's also an app for the Soviet military maps that you can download. If you use both, you definitely have, you're very well equipped. If you prefer paper maps, you can go to the Trekking Union of Kyrgyzstan. They have their office in Bishkek. So in my opinion, the best seasons for hiking in Kyrgyzstan are spring, summer and the beginning of autumn. In spring you need to pay a bit of attention. In April and also beginning of May still there's a lot of precipitation, a lot of rain. You can have thunderstorms, so it's maybe not the best. So late spring might be a bit better for hiking. So late May is definitely a very nice season. Late May, early June, you have everything is green, everything is blooming, and then later in the year, in July, August maybe, it is a bit drier and hotter. So the landscape around here would be a bit more brownish. At the moment you can see it's still very green. Flowers are blooming. It's just magnificent. And so the weather in the mountains changes quickly, so pay attention. Usually in Kyrgyzstan it's pretty good, but you should pay a little bit of attention. One thing that is very nice in Kyrgyzstan is that you can do camping in the backcountry, and you can put up your tent pretty much everywhere. On OpenStreetMap you will find a lot of backcountry campsites marked on the map, and we found a particularly nice spot because down there is a nice river. You have a lot of water, you can wash yourself, you can go on the toilet and so on. So one thing, maybe one of the last things that I want to mention is safety when you go hiking. In Kyrgyzstan you don't have the infrastructure as in Europe, for example, that so that there will be a helicopter to save you, to get you back to a hospital once you have an accident. Please take it into account when you plan your hiking trips here. The infrastructure is not as good as probably in the Alps or maybe also somewhere else, but you will find a lot of very nice people in the mountains that will always help you. There are a lot of shepherds that have their animals in the mountains, and they're usually very friendly, hospitable. They usually want to treat you with a piece of shashlik, offer you some vodka. Yes, so you will never have any problems. We never had any problems while we were camping or hiking anywhere in the Kyrgyz mountains. So we always felt very safe. And so maybe one more thing with regard to altitude. In Kyrgyzstan you will reach pretty high altitudes, up to above 4,000. You can get to above 4,000 easily. And so you need to know how you cope with altitude. Maybe you need to get acclimatized. Don't forget to drink when you go up. Maybe, I guess that's it. And if you don't like to hike, just take your four-wheel drive.
As I said, if you don't like to hike, take a four-wheel drive.